The turn of the millennium proved to be an odd time for game consoles. As home computers continued to develop, home entertainment and mobile devices continued to get more and more powerful, and game consoles were just over here like, where do we fit in? A question I'm still asking myself 10 years after middle school. I mean, how can game consoles compete with this Hot Wheels computer I owned as a kid? It can't. But they did try to conform to PCs and other entertainment devices, that's how. Many game consoles kind of went through an identity crisis. Just look at the N-Gage. Is it a game console? A cell phone? The Persona 5 battle menu? Yes! Game consoles weren't just for games anymore. They played DVDs, connected to the internet, and took pictures. I mean, phones can have digital cameras. Why not game consoles? Whether it was for in-game features, just taking photos, or to justify a really expensive system, there was anywhere from 12 to 24 cameras that were made exclusively to be used with video game consoles. So I wanted to take this opportunity to look at a variety of them, test their quality, see what they were used for, and other stuff. So let's get Insta-famous. But first, I've been spending more time and putting more financial resources into my videos recently. And fortunately, I've been able to put more time and financial resources into my videos thanks to sponsors like Skillshare. Skillshare is an awesome learning community featuring dozens of topics and thousands of classes covering both business and creative skills. And with Skillshare Premium, you get unlimited access to their entire class library, so you can pick the classes that are right for you. So, fun fact, all of my little vlog style segments that are in this video were actually shot with my iPhone. Sometimes the convenience of a smartphone is the best option when you're producing a YouTube video because it's quick and easy, and also it's compact and concealable. And luckily, Skillshare has a great class all about iPhone videography, so you can start making videos with just stuff you can get right off your phone. Fortunately, Skillshare is very affordable at just $10 a month. And also fortunately, Skillshare has hooked me up to give you the hookup to hook you up with 2 months free of Skillshare Premium. The link is in the description down below. So click the link down in the description to get 2 months free of Skillshare Premium, and please learn something. First and foremost, let's get into one I've been dying to check out since I was a little kid, the Game Boy camera. My first Nintendo console was the Game Boy Color. I remember looking through EB Games, Circuit City, other dead nostalgic chains, Delia's, all trying to find something new to play. From Pokemon Silver to Pokemon Crystal, I was always tempted to try something else other than Pokemon, and then one day I saw it at EB Games, the Game Boy camera. I didn't get it. I always wanted to play with it though, and now finally I own one. The Game Boy camera was released in February 1998, and at the time of its release, it was actually the smallest consumer level digital camera, which is one of my 3 favorite gamer facts. Ranking it at number 3. Number 2 is Nintendo used to own a love hotel, and number 1 is Mario 2 is actually Doki Doki Literature Club in Japan. Originally retailing for $49.95, the camera plugs into the game cartridge slot right at the top and features an extra inch at the top for a reversible camera, so you can take both front and back facing pictures. So let's go around and take some pictures. Alright, so last time I took you around Orlando in my scanners video, we went to some of Orlando's most famous spots, Disney, Universal, and some of you decided to comment that I was just using this as an excuse to write off my vacation. I live in Orlando. I didn't spend a cent traveling for that video. I was just using my resources to do something fun for y'all, so please stop it. I don't like it. So anyways, we're gonna dive a little deeper and take you to some more respectable locations in Orlando. So we are doing a mini road trip to get a picture of what I think is the single greatest cultural icon in Orlando. This is why I came to Orlando. This is what was calling me. All right, let's get some photos. Some good old wizard photos. All right, the sun's a little too blurry. There it is. Dude, the pure dread that fills my soul when I see this. It's just horrible. It's like the worst thing I've ever seen. Sun is. All right, let's do a selfie. Very nice. While looking at the Game Boy camera's pictures doesn't scream quality, there's something charming about the low grayscale / low resolution images. Measuring in at 128 by 112 pixels, it's not screaming resolution, but something about taking pictures with this thing at all is fun. Of course, taking pictures wasn't all you could do. The Game Boy camera software was developed by Game Freak and allowed you to draw on your picture, add stickers, and do rudimentary editing. A lot of the times when I'm looking through tech, I'm doing so through the lens of living in 2019. Unless I grew up with it as a kid, I can't pretend like I'm viewing this for the first time in 1998. The Game Boy camera's quality may have been frustrating back in the day, but now it's just a novelty and can be judged as such. It's actually pretty fun to mess around with, and I totally see myself screwing with it for silly things here and there. The device came in a few different colors, and although it would quickly be overtaken by better, smaller digital cameras, its legacy has persisted. There are Instagram accounts dedicated to Game Boy camera photography. I have an Instagram account too. Only need 10,000 followers to post a working link. That's some bullshit. But Neil Young also used the Game Boy camera photo for his album Pokemon Silver and Gold. That's pretty cool, I guess. Continuing, one of the cooler accessories for the Game Boy was the Game Boy printer. That's right, the Game Boy 2 had a printer which is no longer supported. Did you run out of ink? Well, that means it's time to get a new printer because the Canon X14-10 XX1 sized cartridges aren't made anymore. The Game Boy printer was designed to be used with the camera and allows you to hook up to a Game Boy with a link cable. With a software prompt, the printer will start and print out your image using thermal paper, a cheaper printing solution which doesn't use ink but instead directed heat, which basically burns directly onto the paper. It's like receipt paper. How I initially found out about the Game Boy printer was because of a prompt in Pokemon GSC's Pokedex. You could print out Pokedex entries, but that doesn't really mean you could read them. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was my paper or printer that caused this problem, because going online, you can see much clearer images coming out of the printer. So if you know the issue, please comment down below. I would really like to know how to get a better printing quality out of the printer. And if you don't know the issue, please comment down below. Also like the video and all the other stuff. It's the only thing that allows my brain to release tryptophan these days, and I really need that to sleep. While Nintendo did plan to do a follow-up to the Game Boy camera, it never got off the ground. However, there was a working prototype shown at E3 with GameCube connectivity. But there was a lesser-known third-party camera for the Game Boy Advance. I knew nothing about this Nyko worm cam until I just saw it on eBay when scouting for an inbox Game Boy camera. It popped up, I knew I was doing this video, so I bought it. The worm cam, worm? Named after Nyko's other product, the Worm Light, so in case you're confused about the name. This is actually an unauthorized accessory, so it doesn't operate like a normal cartridge. To get around Nintendo's software protection, the worm cam connects through the link port instead of the cartridge slot. It then installs the software into the system's RAM, just like Animal Crossing does for NES games and the little island map. That's pretty neat. So the worm cam has a reversible lens and a USB port, which would allow you to transfer photos to a PC. There is no viewfinder or live view, so you can't see what the camera sees, so you just take a photo by pressing R, and then it's supposed to load the image. Looking online, I could tell the worm cam didn't take great photos, but mine doesn't even want to work. I figured maybe it was just a slow process, but after trying multiple times, and after leaving the Game Boy sitting there for over an hour, I just turned it off. I tried another Game Boy just in case something could be wrong with the other one, and still nothing. I even left it on overnight. So I'm just giving up. So I'm sorry, I tried. Nintendo would later return to including a camera in their handhelds with the DSi. The DSi and its counterpart, the DSi XL, not to be confused with the new 2DSi XL Lite Deluxe color, were the last inclusions in the Nintendo DS family. And hot take, it's the best way to play DS games. I've always loved how sleek and nice this machine felt. Like, damn. The inner applicant in me is loving this. The DSi's main feature, the Eye, was a front and back facing camera. Each camera has a resolution of 640 by 480, but it's not a good 640 by 480.
All right, here's my friends. Oh, hell yeah, friends. So here we are at the Crayola experience at the Florida Mall. Gonna get a big shot of that sign. Just prove how good this camera is. Let's get a little shot of this friend over here. Oh God, I can't see anything out here. Should I up the brightness maybe? If I can even find the setting in this, like, insane brightness.
Pictures are very blurry and pulling focus is super difficult. I mean, if you compare it to smartphone photos from the time, it's nowhere close. And although you can transfer these images to an SD card and view them on better screens, it doesn't help that the DSi's screen is only 256 by 192, less than half the resolution of the images themselves. But you do get some fun editing tools to distort the images in all sorts of fun ways. But this is in 2D. I need 3D. For about 5 minutes before I get bored of it. Nintendo's most recent foray into portable cameras was on the 3DS. 2 cameras on the back and 1 camera on the front. The cameras on the back are able to take analog 3D images with the 2 lenses. And then you can even display them back in 3D on the 3DS screen, or, you know, still in 2D on the new 2DS screen, but with the same 3D image files. I do not understand why there are still 2 cameras here, probably for the AR cards. It's odd. The 3DS tried to use the camera more, but there wasn't too much to do with it besides giving you something to f around with right out of the box. And with this launch lineup, it was certainly the best activity available. I think one of the most questionable and memorable inclusions in the 3DS's package are the AR cards, which provide tracking points to allow you to view Nintendo characters in a 3D environment and play different kinds of games. Despite nothing really interesting coming out of these cards, they weren't included in every 3DS iteration up until the end. Some gift cards for the eShop actually had AR characters for you to heck around with too, so that's kind of neat. Now, if the 3DS's camera was questionable, you're going to love the Wii U's camera. The most memorable feature was taking a photo of yourself for the Me channel, which would automatically design a Me based on your facial features. But it was rarely a good result.
Wow.
While Nintendo was hecking around with cameras, Sega was also trying to make their own with the Dream Eye. Now, unfortunately, the Dream Eye for the Dreamcast is quite collectible these days. Only releasing in Japan towards the end of the Dreamcast lifespan made sure it wasn't in the hands of many American gamers. And for the first time, we have a pretty impressive resolution at 640 by 480, but it wasn't compatible with many games. I would certainly love to have one day. It has that awesome Y2K aesthetic. And speaking of what killed the Dreamcast, the PlayStation 2 had its own camera, the EyeToy.
Billy's on the TV! Billy's on the TV! Billy! On the TV! You see?
While I appreciated the Game Boy camera from afar, I really wanted to get my hands on the PlayStation EyeToy, mostly because of Sonic. The EyeToy is a PlayStation 2 accessory originally released by Sony in October of 2003 for $49.95. It's basically a repurposed Logitech webcam that's built into a PlayStation-style shell, complete with those ridges and that logo I didn't really understand until I was like way older. The EyeToy has a resolution of 320 by 240 pixels and something you really don't see with modern webcams, a focus ring on the front. The EyeToy's primary purpose is actually to be used with games specifically made for it. This was supposed to be Sony's big swing at the family market, so everything here is pretty simple and kid-friendly. The EyeToy essentially tracks changes in an image that they basically assume is your body moving. This allows you to project yourself onto the screen and interact with games. While Sony did fund and publish a series of their own EyeToy games, the one I want to take a look at is Sega Superstars, the first game to use the Sega Superstar title, and the first time this fucker has been allowed on my channel in nearly a year. I wanted this game so badly, but I didn't get a PS2 until it was already outdated, and by that time, the EyeToy was long gone. I'm not gonna go as far to say as I lucked out by not playing this, but this game is nothing special. Essentially, you have a selection of 12 different mini-games, all based on Sega properties. The gang's all here, from Billy Hatcher, Sonic, Space Channel 5, sick aesthetic, but the games themselves are I kind of enjoyed the Virtua Fighter game.
God, it's just like, I'm just so powerful. It's like everyone trying to beat me up like in a shonen anime, and I'm just like, even after your most powerful attack, I'm still standing.
The Sonic one sucked, and the Monkey Ball one was infuriating, but in a more fun, this is so absurd kind of way.
Like you're just like, oh yeah. Come on, get, oh! All right.
The same control scheme is mimicked in the Knights mini game, so you essentially have to rotate both of your arms to move these red points on a compass, and depending on where they're situated, you will move forward, rotate, reverse, or turn. It's infinitely frustrating, and you're constantly readjusting, questioning if you're doing it right, and getting upset. I'm always upset, but nothing upsets me more than the first model Xbox 360. Not only did this thing suffer from Red Ring, the infamous hardware error that plagued a huge percentage of early units, but it was also the first console that I can think of to suffer from choice overload. Not only did you have the option between two consoles, the Xbox 360 core system at $299 and the Xbox 360 at $399, but the cheaper option left out the hard drive, which was necessary to do many of the features. And if you wanted to upgrade later on, the 20GB hard drive would cost you $100. The Xbox 360 came in and said, let's make gaming boring. Don't get me wrong, I loved this thing. It may be my most played console between Halo 3 and trying to navigate Soliana and Sonic 06. But between the lame menu themes, branding, and weird accessories, it was definitely interested in making gaming cool and sleek rather than weird and fun. And the Xbox 360 Live camera reflects that. It was basically only used for video chat and giving Xbox Live Gold members custom icons. It was just a part of a needlessly expensive communication experience you could have with the 360. If you wanted everything, you had to pay for the Xbox Live membership for $59.99, the chat pad for $29.99, a wireless headset for like another $60, and the webcam for $59.99, all to properly run some Skype-like shit on the Xbox. It was really expensive and purposeless. Speaking of really expensive and purposeless things, the PS Vita. Okay, I know a lot of you probably love the PS Vita. I still need to properly get value out of mine, so if you have any game suggestions besides Persona 4, just let me know. I really do want to play this thing. The PS Vita had a front and back facing camera with a resolution of 640 by 480.
And we just looked right across the street from the Wizard and saw another just horrible, dreadful gift shop. That's like horrible. I hate all of these. Is that a snake or is that the zebra's tail? What is that? Good photo right there. Saving, please wait. Big like dramatic like. Ooh, very nice.
Once again, it's not great resolution, but it's kind of cool that it's there. But I'm sure it didn't help with that expensive launch price. Plus, at this point, smartphone cameras were blowing this thing out of the water.
Vita's camera, that doesn't look half bad. Yeah, there's no way we can get a full body shot. All right, I guess we can. From all the way over here. Shot. Dang. This is where I live. I chose to live here. I moved here. This is my doing. I hate it.
PlayStation's later cameras for the PS Vita and the PS4 really were just about taking photos or VR tracking, but they did make two follow-ups to the EyeToy before this. The PS3 had the PlayStation Eye, a slightly better version of the EyeToy with a resolution of 640 by 480. The PSI had twice the resolution of the EyeToy, but half the games. I mean, games just for the PSI. The game I wanted to try more than any other was the Eye of Judgment, a card game developed by Wizards of the Coast. The Eye of Judgment actually came with the PSI packed in, so I guess the intention was to get players to adopt both the collectible card game and the webcam for any future endeavors with it. Released in 2007 standalone, the Eye cost $39.99, but the Eye of Judgment starter set cost $69.99. Eye of Judgment takes place on a board with 9 spaces. The game originally came with this stand and an adapter for the webcam, so it'd be really easy to set up. But the eBay lot I bought mine from didn't have the adapter, so I used command strips and electrical tape to fasten my Eye to my GorillaPod, which is pretty nifty, huh? You line up the mat with the lines on the display, and boom, the cloth is transformed into different kinds of elemental terrain on the screen. Each player has a 30-card deck with a combination of creatures and spells. Each turn, players collect 2 mana, which they can use to summon creatures and spells to attack the other player. It's pretty basic card game stuff, but the cool thing is it comes close to that epic gameplay you wanted Yu-Gi-Oh! To be. I mean, I wanted Yu-Gi-Oh! To have holographic monsters so badly. And even now, I wish they'd find a way to make the card game into an AR experience like this. The Eye of Judgment went on for a few years with 3 expansions and extra decks, retailing for about $14.99 per deck and $3.95 per 8-card booster pack. However, the servers were shut down in 2010. I love this concept, and I'd love to explore the extra sets and cards more in depth in a future video, but I'm not wanting to spend half of this already ridiculously long video on explaining a card game more. While the PSI alone didn't bring much new to the table, it was still around during the motion controls, maybe, era of gaming. After the success of the Wii and after people got bored of the Wii, both Microsoft and Sony wanted to get in on the dead action. Microsoft eventually released the Kinect, a device I will cover another day, and Sony released the PlayStation Move, a Wii Remote type device with a glowing ball at the end for motion tracking. So not only could you use it to control pointers on the screen, but the PSI could actually track the ball in order to give you props to use in AR games. And the top tier AAA game Sony was trying to sell you was EyePet. EyePet is a pet simulator that uses the PSI to scan your room and the Move controller to give you props to interact with a tiny monkey cat thing. It's just this little ugly gremlin creature, I guess. Like the original EyeToy, the PSI can also track your movement within a fixed camera environment. So while you're not dependent on the Move controller, you can wiggle your fingers to prompt the animal to move, jump, pounce, and pet it. At first, I was kind of put off by the creature. I mean, look at it. But as I kept playing with Gremlin, yes, that's its name, Gremlin, I kind of understood the appeal of the game. You can play with it using toys, use an X-ray to check its health, pet it, etc. It's cute enough, and there was a sequel, and I'm sure as you put more hours into it, it gets more interesting, so maybe I'll pick it up again another day, but right now I'm more concerned with its PSP port. A lesser-known PlayStation camera is the PSP's Go Cam. Oddly enough, this is actually the second PSP camera. It was released to go alongside EyePet PSP and another game. While the concept and mechanics of EyePet PSP are similar, the main difference is the environment. Instead of the EyePet walking around your room and interacting with you, it stays put on an AR card bundled with the game. If you move it around too much, it'll just pop into a bubble until it can track the card again. I'd like to show you more, but unfortunately my component cable's blue input isn't connecting, so all the footage I'm getting is super gross looking, just like this stupid little gremlin creature. It kind of looks like a baby Teletubby. The other game Sony made to be compatible with the Go Cam is Scanimals, which is a first-party game developed by Sony. It's apparently kind of like Scanners, that little VPET thing I covered a few weeks ago, but I don't want to get into it with the footage looking so bad. So I'm gonna save it for its own video for another day. After all, I love my VPETs, even if I murder every single one. Although there are still cameras being made specifically for gaming, it's definitely not a priority anymore. After all, smartphone camera quality is just blowing anything that a game console could do out of the water because they can justify charging anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a device, which is something game consoles really just can't compete with. And while I am holding the door open to revisit a wide variety of the topics covered right here, I'm glad I took an opportunity to take a look at everything as a holistic view of video game cameras. Also, this video took forever, so could you please just, leave a like, comment, rate 5 stars, send fan mail, share offline, write about me to your elected representatives, please! It is the only thing that allows my brain to release tryptophan, and I need that to sleep. I really need some sleep. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. If this is your first video of mine, like, comment, subscribe, watch some of my other stuff, all that junk. Also, this video just took forever to get together between all of the consoles, the cameras, going to the different locations, testing everything just even a little bit. Yeah, I'm sorry it took so long. The next video will not be this long of a turnaround, so I don't know if it's going to be next week per se. I'm planning on it to be next week. We're going back to Scooby-Doo, so yeah. Thanks for watching.